yes, it's thrilling and it's entertaining, and it's a movie, in the way that people want to be entertained, but it's also got deep meaning in it, and it burrows its way into your mind, and you start to question things, you start to think, and there are moments in it that even for me haunt me. Hey,
Jordan, how's it going?
doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. Sorry, the previous interview ran a little bit long, so
No worries. I wasn't gonna go anywhere anyway. So, where are
good.
you at currently?
I'm in LA. I'm in LA.
I love the background. Is that your home?
Oh yeah, yeah. I am at home. I am
Oh
at home.
wow, look at all that art. Are you a collector or
No, just an appreciator of art and beauty, I guess.
it's really
Thank you.
cool. What
Well,
a
thank you.
perfect zoom background. I do this every day and I don't have nowhere near as fun of a background as you did.
Well, I appreciate that, Jim. It's really cool. Yeah.
Man, I'm excited to talk to you. So much to talk about. Funny thing is, I didn't see the movie. The screener came in 3 minutes ago. Anyway, so yes,
You're
um,
kidding. You're kidding. 3 minutes ago. Well, I don't know if you can knock it out in 3 minutes.
yeah. If it was a trailer, I could see it. The
Okay.
movie's a lot more than the 3 minutes. I'm guessing
Yeah.
there, but we can still talk about it because I remember at being at the movies a couple weeks ago and seeing the trailer for this. I'm like, this is the wildest film. I think this might be the horror of the season coming up because I have not seen this concept actually. We've done so many demonic and demon films and all that, but I haven't seen a prisoner possessed talking about being a demon. I'm wondering too, you playing the psychologist here, did you guys know you had a prisoner for all this time that might have been a demon? Like, why does it take till the execution for this huge information to come out?
Wow. I mean, number one, it's so cool that you say that, because I think that this is not like any horror movie that anybody's ever
Mm-hmm.
really. And in fact, I mean, it is a horror movie, but not in the sense that people are traditionally used to.
Right.
It's not spectacle. It's not traditional depictions of demons or people vomiting, substances or that kind of thing.
Exactly.
It's
Or
it's a
climbing
much
on walls, you know what I mean?
no,
And yeah.
yeah. It's and for that reason, I think it's scarier than that,
Mm-hmm.
because there is a realism, a psychological realism to it that I think confronts a lot of people, and it has deep meaning behind it, and so it's not. I don't even think it's what people think it is when they
Interesting.
watch the trailer. Because it deals with real serious issues of faith and spirituality and of religion and of what the true nature of evil is.
Mm.
Imagine sitting across the table from actual evil and having a conversation with it.
You know,
Um,
the one thing I can think of is like I think I've seen movies or these documentaries with like serial killers where you have the psychologist or the detective kind of sitting across them and speaking. And I think that's the most eeriest thing ever. Like I would
yeah,
not want to be that person, even though they're like technically safe because they're in a cell and
yeah.
like there's security outside and everything, but just having that I think would mess you up mentally. I can't imagine. You got to be some kind of like different level of thought process here to be able to have that sort of conversation because mind would wander naturally.
Well, particularly if you're somebody who thinks they've got all the answers,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you realize that you don't. And I think that's the big arc of the movie and the big arc of my character specifically. The setup of it is for your listeners, your audience, is that
Yeah.
they don't already know, which
It's
is
nefarious, by the way, we're talking about here. I
yes,
jumped
this is the
into it.
movie. This is the movie Nefarious. Comes out on April 14th in
Yeah, next
theaters.
weekend.
Stars myself and Sean Patrick Flanery, who people might know from the Boondock Saints
Oh yeah.
or Powder or the Young Indiana Jones or any number of things. But it's him and myself, and on the surface, it's a serial killer who is slated to be executed, and
Mhm.
they bring in a psychiatrist for one final evaluation to sign off whether or not he's sane to stand execution. So it's my task to determine whether or not, and he claims he's possessed by a demon, and it's my task to determine whether he's sane or insane, whether he's pretending to be crazy so that he cannot be executed, or whether he,
Mhm.
or whether he is sane and should be executed and he's faking it. And I don't know that it occurs to me that there might be an option C, which is he's telling the truth. And so that that setup, that and all the things that come out of that, that interaction are what the movie's about.
And he flips the tables on your character too, from the sound of it too, right?
And in a lot in more ways than one, in more ways than
Mhm.
one. But yes, it's thrilling and it's entertaining, and it's a movie, in the way that people want to be entertained. But it's also got deep meaning in it, and it burrows its way into your mind, and you start to question things, you start to think, and there are moments in it that even for me haunt me, and I'm in
Interesting.
it.
I
Yeah.
was gonna ask you, does it psychologically kind of mess with you? Because if you're, the scenes look intense, like between you and Sean. Like even in the trailers, I was like, damn, they're going into it. But when you're preparing for such a thing like that, you want to make it believable and real. Does it kind of psych you out in a sense when you're offset or preparing for it? I'm curious with something like this intense.
I don't know if it psychs you out. I mean, number
Mhm.
one, any actor will tell you, you look for roles that have this kind of richness and complexity, and allow you to sink in. So you
Yeah.
always look for that stuff. So I don't think it's a question of being psyched out, but it does, you go places that make you question things and think about your own life. And
Mm.
I'll share with you that, I had an experience where my firstborn son, my first child, my son,
Mhm.
was born on day one of shooting this movie.
Wow.
One.
Interesting.
And I, I live in LA, we were shooting in Oklahoma City.
Uh-huh.
Um, and, I had to go to bed the night before knowing that my wife was in labor, thousands of miles away. And I was starting this movie on day one the next day. And so I woke up, I went to set, I went through hair and makeup. I got in my trailer and I got in the wardrobe and I got the text that he had just been born, and I
Wow.
FaceTime, and there he was, and uh, had this moment, and then Jordan, we're ready, and I had to walk and start this entire
Dude, I
endeavor.
can't imagine turning that on and off like that. I mean, that's the biggest moment in your life,
The
probably,
biggest moment of my
in
life.
that
Yes,
sense, firstborn child, and you get to see it. I mean, you're not there physically, but like this is you're locked into the screen, on the phone, and then you got to change, and then
and
you're
I gotta go.
confronting a
So
demon.
to your question, it's the ultimate version of what you asked, which
Yeah,
is, but in a sense, that experience which changes you. I don't know if you have kids,
I don't know.
but you your perspective on life changes. And I know it sounds, I meant to sound pat or cliche to say that, but the reason it probably sounds cliche is because it's true.
I've heard
You
that from my best friend who has
Yeah,
kids too. I've heard it many times.
and it's difficult to explain. I'm sure there are people that can explain it better than me, but all
Mhm.
I know is that it's true. How you see the world, what you feel, your sense of self, um, any sort of narcissistic impulses that you had, you learn what's important, and I think the rush of that in that moment can't help be a part of me as I go into to start this movie, and
Mhm.
I think that was with me as I performed and as I made this movie. And because so much of it is so intense, with me and Sean, I mean, that's the majority of the film. Um, this material, it served the movie.
Mm. You know what blew me kind of away? Seeing who was behind this project. Chuck and Carrie.
Yeah.
For those that know, they do a lot of religious dramas. God's Not Dead, I believe, and there's that. Do You Believe? Another film that they did. So these guys are very much into the spiritual space. I've met them a few times at the Movie Guide Awards, so I fairly know them. But I was surprised that they would do a thriller. I mean, it's obviously there's got to be a faith component knowing them to this film too. But you know, they usually do kind of a serious drama when it comes to spirituality and stuff, not a horror thriller in that sense. So I
Yeah.
was surprised to see their names attached to it.
No, I mean, I didn't know them before I did this movie,
Hmm.
uh, but all I can say is that it's all on the page with them. I mean, they constructed something that is masterfully written. The dialogue is precise and masterful, and um, the yes, there are issues of faith and spirituality and of truth and lies and and the lies we tell ourselves. Um,
Hmm.
and so, but it's all in this context of the setup that I described to you. And you want to know the truth. You want to know what's going on. And they've constructed it in a way that pulls you along, pulls the audience in, and hopefully, Sean and I, did justice to it. I believe that we did.
I'm sure you did. Did you know Sean before this, or you guys
No,
just kind of met also at
no,
this?
we met
Wow.
through this, and you know, and yes, I mean, in a circumstance like this, you, I mean, it's either going to work or it's not because it's just the two of you.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of piece that you wish you had. You could almost rehearse like a play, for instance, and you have weeks of rehearsal and you work it and you get it up on its feet and the whole thing. And we didn't have that. And so we met, for the first time in Oklahoma City where the film was being shot. And he and I, in a sense, spent just as much time, kind of working some of the material as we did getting to know each other. A lot of it was just us getting to know each other as men.
Mm.
And of course I shared with him everything that was going. I mean, he was one of the people that I told that I just had a baby. And so
Yeah.
that there's a thing that happens, because you share that with somebody. And you know um it's and these kinds of movies, by the way, also are all about trust. You
Hmm.
have to really trust your other actor, the guy who's sitting on the other side of the table. And so I'm really glad that it was him because we really went there together. And I brought stuff out of him, he brought stuff out of me, and that's the dance. I mean, the movie it's this dance.
Uh-huh. And you can tell, and you got to be calm and kind of composed, you know, and he's everything, you know,
Yeah,
so many different sides of him being unleashed, you know, which
yeah,
is just a parallel of like emotions between you guys, you know,
yeah.
mirroring each other in different ways.
This
That's gonna be
movie,
fascinating.
this movie allows. I mean, this isn't a criticism of any other movies or entertainment in general that's out there, but
Mhm.
this is the you know this movie isn't necessarily about spectacle or CG or any of the things that or cliche depictions of demons
Mhm.
that we were describing before. This is in a sense realer than that, and thus scarier because
Yeah.
of that.
All
Um,
always the scariest things are the reality based things, the documentaries, the you know where you make that mental connection, like, oh, this was a real human, like this actually happened. You know, that's always gives you more
yeah,
chills than something that's like blood or gore or something jumping out. You know, the
yeah,
reality of it gets in your head, and the
exactly right.
relatability is like, okay, this somehow happened, this was a real thing, it always gives you that extra
Yeah,
anticipation and kind of edge.
CG isn't scary.
No,
Um, and so that
people are.
people are, and
Yeah.
ideas are, and
Hmm.
ideas of what's true or not are. And um, so that's this, and I think that's why people are going to be surprised by what the movie is.
Yeah. I remember you back on Entourage. I mean,
Yeah,
a villainous role there.
yeah, it's true.
Our nemesis, man. That's cool too. I mean, I just spoke to Rob Weiss a few weeks ago too. So he
Yeah.
worked on obviously on Entourage. It's cool, man. That show, it still lives on. I feel like it made such a cultural impact. You know what I mean? And I feel like it was ahead of its time too. In a lot of ways.
Why is that?
I just feel like some of the stuff, it was kind of out there, and now in the time when it was airing, it was kind of like I guess kind of in your face, like, whoa, this is Hollywood, that sort of thing. And now we
Yeah,
kind of have a more open door to how things are, and people are more transparent with things. I feel like
sure.
it's now kind of showing the side of things and the industry and just the people that maybe was like closed off more, prior when the show was kind of airing.
Yeah, I mean, look, doing that show, being a part of that show, it's not lost on me getting to be a part of something that was a zeitgeist type show. Uh,
Mhm.
and in the time that Entourage was on, it was, HBO was the prestige game in town.
Oh, yeah.
Streamers weren't around yet, and most people were, almost entirely like watching it live Sunday nights. It was a real thing,
Yeah,
and
Sopranos was in that age too, and True
slightly
Blood. It
different,
was like the,
slightly different. Yeah,
appointment television.
yeah, and so it was a special, special thing, and everybody in the industry was watching it, and so that was a big part of my career, and I loved doing that show. Those guys. Another example of masterful writing. Doug Ellen, who
Oh,
created
yeah.
the show. I mean, he wrote. I mean, he everything was on the page, and and it all starts there. And your job is exponentially easier if the writing is good. Um,
Mhm.
and the writing was good and it was funny and it was a special show. And to this day, guys still come up to me on the street and quote my lines at me.
Nice.
I was in other countries. I was in Ireland and guys came up to me, and
That's
knew it. It's
wild.
it's phenomenal the reach of good storytelling, of good shows. Um, so yeah, it was special. And the crazy thing now though is that when I look at it in a
Mhm.
lot of ways, it's sort of also now a time capsule of Los Angeles, of
Yeah,
a Los Angeles that isn't the same as
totally.
much. Um, and you're right; it gave a window into Hollywood and the business, and LA was a character in the show as much as all the other characters. And so,
100%.
what's that?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, 100%. It really was. It's such an LA show, like
Oh,
an industry
everything
show
about it.
too.
Everything about it. But yeah, it was great. It was really fun, and I'm really grateful to have been a part of it.
Yeah, I wonder, if I talked to Rob about it too. He doesn't think this show would take on or have this sort of impact, though, if it was airing now too, which was interesting to hear that too, because of the culture and change and how much we changed. So I just kind of meant it was like ahead of its time in a way, kind
Yeah,
of where it worked, but also it might have not had the same impact now. I think it was good for its time too, and what it was. It was sort of like, that era too of, you said, appointment television, and you had the Sopranos, you had all these sort of HBO centric shows. It's interesting how a time uh and a show sometimes work together, so nicely, that in a maybe different time frame. And you mentioned that capsule, it's a really good way of summarizing it too.
I mean, whenever you're in a particular moment, it seems like that's just the way things are, and it's going to be that way forever. And it's only with
Yeah.
time and perspective do you realize, oh, that was a moment in time. Everything Time marches on, things change, things evolve,
Hmm.
and sometimes not for the best. Oftentimes, LA is different now, in a lot
Oh,
in a lot
yeah.
of and so it's only with that perspective that you look back and you go, wow, that was an era, that was a time and a place. And so, yeah, and time marches on with the industry too. I mean, the
Hmm.
industry changes. Now I don't know. Everyone talks about, the effect of streaming and streamers and changing the face of movies and how it's all blurred together and all those kinds of things have all happened since. So
Mhm.
the very way we consume media, how we watch stuff, whether or not we even go to the movies, or and then obviously the pandemic in the middle, like it changed a lot of our behaviors. It changed how we consume the stuff. It changed how we relate, or interact with that content. So it's a lot has happened since. And so in
Mhm.
that way too, you look back and you go, wow, it was a time and a place. But that said, people should still be going to the theater to see Nefarious.
Totally. You took it away from me. When I saw the trailer for this in
I
the
know what segue
theaters,
when I see one.
great segue. When I saw this trailer in the movie theater, because I go to the movie theater every week, I got the AMC pass. It kind of gives me a reason to go, which I like. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you got to use it, right? You have it. You have 3 movies a week to see. So I try to find reasons to go because of that. But when I mentioned I got the screen out, I'm kind of glad it came in late so I can now go see it in the theaters next weekend, because I that was one of the movies I was planning on seeing in theaters,
Cool.
before talking to you. I'm like, yes, needs to be in a dark space, in a big screen kind of experienced. And I was getting my popcorn and just have that experience of watching. So kind of glad the screener came in ironically after the fact, so I can now go and see it in a theater, which is kind of going to
Good.
give me that fun movie watching experience.
No, I mean everything. I just got back from the premiere. We just had the premiere,
Hmm.
and I just got back from it, and it's exactly that. I mean, uh, Tom Cruise says it better, probably better than me. But like, there's a reason why the seeing a movie in a theater is sort of a sacred experience.
Yeah.
Um, Movies, in my opinion, are supposed to be bigger than you. They're
Hmm.
supposed to be larger than life. You're not supposed to be the same size as the screen. The screen is supposed to be bigger than you, because that's the magic and majesty of movies and of cinema. And so I'm a huge proponent of seeing movies how they were made, and why and how they were meant to be seen. And so I couldn't encourage people more to go see Nefarious in a theater.
Yeah.
Something about the feeling of seeing it. And so we we had the premiere, just the other night, and there must have been 700 people.
Wow. Where'd you guys have
Multiple.
the premiere at? That's a big theater.
Yeah, well, no, there were multiple screens going on simultaneously.
Oh,
Yes, man,
nice.
there must have been 600 or 700 people just there. It was
Wow.
incredible. The energy was incredible, and what seeing a movie in a theater with other people and having that communal experience does
Yeah.
is magic. And that's also the ultimate test of whether a movie works.
The
You know,
reaction, you get to hear the react, the gasps, the
yeah.
laughs,
Or just the stillness, or
yes,
just the
yes.
people being wrapped. And so that I felt that, and that was the ultimate, fulfillment, is because I'm sitting there, I know the movie,
Mhm.
I shot the movie, but I'm seeing it through their eyes. I'm essentially seeing it for the first time by feeling them, and it's palpable.
Yeah.
So it was really fun, and people were like incredibly into it, and it was really fun. It was really
That's
fun.
cool. I'm like I said, I'm glad that this is in a movie theater, not directly to streaming. And like, there's always time to get that after the release,
Absolutely.
But I'm glad
Absolutely.
they did this movie with the intention to being seen on a big screen. That's a cool thing, because a lot of these movies, especially of the thriller horror genre base, sort of go straight to digital, But it's cool that we get that theatrical experience. And just like I said, seeing that trailer in the theater, I was like, "Whoa, this is cool!"
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to this. That's awesome. That you get that exposure in the theaters first.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm really, really excited about that. And the thing is that um, people should go see films that aren't necessarily like, you know, there's, obviously giant tentpole, huge effects movies,
Sure.
have their place too. But um, the uh, the the mid-level movies, like, you can have incredible, incredible movie experiences if you go see those movies in theaters, and this is one of them that you should go see.
No question. I completely agree. As I let you go here, any plans for you? Any other things in the works for you? Or no, vacation time, you get to spend some time with your child finally now that you're done
I'm gonna
rapping?
spend some time. I'm gonna spend some time with my little boy. I've been doing a lot of. I've been doing actually a lot of different television shows of late.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing Law and Order SVU in New York, and the show called The Resident. And I went to Hawaii to do Magnum PI, and up to Vancouver to do The Good Doctor, and all these shows have just been
Globetrotting, yeah.
yeah.
Medical,
But another
investigative stuff,
yeah.
everything.
But also, not to go down this rabbit hole, but like another example of actually what we were talking about before about the changing nature of LA. Every single one of those television shows doesn't shoot in LA.
I know, yeah, Vancouver, New York, Atlanta's another spot. It's
Yeah,
crazy. Like it's so spread
yeah,
out now. Yeah,
it is, and even this film we shot in Oklahoma, but for a reason because we were
yeah.
shooting at prison. But um, but Nefarious is the special one, and it's a real movie that are real scenes and lets the actors act and kind of gets out of
Mhm.
the way in certain ways. And so it's not what people are. I think what people are craving, to be honest.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, it caught my attention. Now, the more you talk about it, the layers that are to it now that maybe the trailer doesn't show,
correct.
that's an even more intriguing part to me too, to see the psychology behind it, because that's where it comes from, stems from all this.
Yeah, the psychology and the spirituality.
Yeah.
So
And
it's going to have that kind of meaning as well. And
yeah,
so
especially knowing the guys who are behind it. So I'm
yeah,
sure they got something in store with that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And actually, a friend of mine, Sarah Hernandez, is in the movie too. I don't know if you ever met her.
I believe yes, I did. Where do you guys know each other
Oh,
from?
we know each other from LA. We're friends, so we've met a while back. I think we met first time we actually met at the Movie Guide Awards, where I met Chuck, and so it's all full circle here for me too with how I met everyone, and yeah, that's where I met her
Yeah.
too, that thing, and she's worked with them too on another movie previously, so it makes sense that they reunited for this. So everything's kind of full circle there too. But it's cool that there's very familiar faces for me in this film too.
No, it's a small world and everything. It's
Yeah,
funny things you can't even see how things work out, but it feels like they do.
it does. And just from the stories we share now, the childbirth, there's something going on. There's an aura around this film, and I have a little bit of a connection to it too, with knowing certain people involved and getting the chance to talk to you, which was really a pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure's mine, Jim. I appreciate it very much, and
Hey, I would love to give you my feedback when I see it in the theater. So
look forward to it, man.
hey, thanks so much for taking the time, Jordan.
Thank you, thank you. All right,
Take
man.
care. Hopefully, we get to talk on the next one. So,
You got it. Happy to, happy to.
hey, sounds
All right,
good.
take
All
care,
right,
Jim.
take care.